I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome. We're going to just a quick explanation since we have a few extra people tonight. We usually start with welcome and introductions and introduce the two people that are here. But there's a few more than two, so we'll forego that tonight. We've got the Selkirk Sun online. We've got Cindy Smith, council position, I'm gonna get it wrong here, 3 or 4, is it? 3 is online. And the first thing I'll ask for is a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We have, under new business, we have a letter of interest for the council for our vacant position. Would the council like to move that up on the agenda and assess that? And if you so desire, you could install him?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to move that to right after the minutes. With no other changes.
Could you speak up, please?
With no other changes. All in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item of business is our minutes of the July 1st, 2026 meeting. And I had reported at the last meeting that that would be the last time we'd read them into the record. And I was mistaken because we got a little diverted. We didn't quite get the minutes. We didn't quite get the website live. These were all sent to the council members on Friday for their review. Does the council wish for me to read them into the record, or did you have a chance to review the minutes yourself?
I had a chance to review them and I'm good with them.
I've read them, I'm good.
Okay. And then once they're approved, they're going to get posted to the website so the public can have access to them. So I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the July 1st, 2026 meeting.
I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Was it seconded?
Yes.
Yep.
Kim did.
It's been moved and seconded.
Could you speak up, please? You started speaking louder, and then you got quiet again.
Well, I'm gonna speak as best as I can. We don't have a microphone system.
I might be going through this first one.
All in favor of approving the motion of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is we have an absent, or not an absent, we have a vacant position, position number 4. It's been advertised and posted for a couple weeks now. We have Mr. Michael King, who has expressed interest in the position. And he sent a letter. I think that letter was distributed to all the council members.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this time, I would open the floor to Mr. King if you would like to address the council as to why you would like to be a council member. Sure. The microphone and the camera should pick you up there.
I've been here about 6 years. I love the town, and I just would like to put a part in to help improve things and make things better.
Does the council members have any questions for Mike?
No.
Do you have anything in particular that you want to work on? everybody has thoughts on what they'd
I
like
like
to
the
do. when they
parks,
come in.
maybe a little cleaner. Other than that, the park and maybe some of the speeding through town, those are the two things that really jump out at me.
And those are problems that we see, that definitely are, and they are problems that we're trying to address, or situations, I should say.
So any experience at all sitting on a council?
No.
Well, some of the rest of us hadn't either, so.
Join
we gotta start
the
somewhere.
crowd, I'm the same way.
I would note for the audience here, Mike had put in his letter that his 3 primary goals are to help guide the long-term vision of the community, to focus on community well-being, and faithfully perform the duties expected of his council position. So that pretty well sums it up. So,
I would say that's about it.
are there any other questions from the council? Well, thank you, Mike. If you want to be seated, and at this time, we'd entertain a motion to appoint Mr. Michael King to the vacant position number 4.
I'll make a motion to appoint Michael King to position number 4.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Cindy, are you hearing us here okay?
I hear you, great. I think Mike is a good choice.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure we could hear you too. Did you have anything you wanted to say on the appointment of Michael King?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any same sign? Motion carries. Congratulations, Michael. You're on the council. Thank you. So what we'll do next is we're going to put him right to work.
Come on up.
Come right into the fire.
And we have the oath of office, if you want to kind of get to the center there. Why don't you move out here away from that owl there kind of, I'll come over here. There we go. And basically, if you would raise your right hand. I, Michael King,
I, Michael King,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington,
that I am a citizen of the United States and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of Councilman Position 4
of the office of Councilman Position 4
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Have a seat. Ready, set, go.
This is we'll just update that after the meeting. All right. The next item of business, one of the things we started doing was we have 2 public comment periods in the meeting. So usually we have a public comment period at the beginning of the meeting so we can hear if there's anything that the council should hear before the meeting starts. And then we have another public comment period toward the end of the meeting. So I just want to have an explanation because I know that there's some consternation and there's some commentary about the water rate ordinance. And so I just want to explain kind of the mechanics of it. And that is we have a water rate ordinance. And we are not voting on a water rate ordinance tonight unless the council chooses to put a water rate ordinance forward which we've got 3 or 4 options that have been discussed by the council over the past few weeks. The process is if they select one of those ordinances, then it goes up for a public hearing. And at the public hearing is when the ordinance is discussed, and, you know, by that time, usually it's been bantered around by the council, and then after that, the actual ordinance, post the public hearing, is adopted by the council, and it becomes the rule of the town. So that's what we're at right now. I know that the discussion has been concerning last year, the council did a simple motion to remove the conservation fee, and the minutes reflected that conservation fee was removed for the rest of the year to 2020, for the rest of 2025. And so now we're in 2026, and although it skipped by my attention, it was brought to my attention that the ordinance required that conservation be instituted. And as it turns out, our water rates, our sewer rates, things that have to do with the town basically charging the citizens money, typically taxes and utilities, they have to have a public hearing and they have to be in an ordinance. So it really wasn't the right way to try and change an ordinance by doing a simple vote of the council. I mean, that could have moved it along, but it wasn't finished up by actually changing the ordinance and moving it into a public hearing and then adopting it. So that's where we're at today. During this public comment period, we welcome your comments on the water rates and the water rate stuff. Obviously, not everybody comes to the meetings. We talk about this stuff in a little more detail in the meetings. But we welcome whatever information you have. We would like to move the meeting along because we've got other business, but again, I can run a timer on the phone or whatever. I really don't want to do that. I really want to hear what people have to say. And the meeting is being transcribed. So if you're picked up on the microphone, everything you say is going to be transcribed in a transcription that becomes part of our meeting record. And then as we move down into the business, the old business of the water rate ordinance, the council can decide what action they want to take to move the process forward. So with that being said, we'll open up the public comment period here at 6:47, and the first person with their hand up was Miss Anita Hill.
Green.
Anita Green, I'm sorry.
This is more of a question. The monies that people pay to rent the park and whatnot, where does those monies go? Does it go into a general fund or does it go into the park revenue period?
Sandy, do you have a simple answer for that?
I do. It goes into the 302 account, which is a capital improvement account for the parks and for ICC.
What's ICC?
This building.
Oh,
Ione Community Center.
okay. Thank you.
And so when we rent this building, it goes into that also, and we have a special line item so we know who rents what area, either the park or ICC.
So the park is making some money to try and help with its own improvements?
A little bit.
I think it's worth noting that there are many of the groups that use the park for functions that are deemed supportive of our greater community and supportive of the mission of the town. And so many of those groups petition the council for a fee waiver. And so those, I know that this council has been very open to the idea if it's a nonprofit group who's putting on something for
Oh, absolutely.
the well-being. And so there's a number of those
Right, I was
You know.
referring more to the weddings and family reunions or family potlucks or whatever. The more private I was referring to.
Yeah, and the other thing that goes along with that is that nobody is prohibited from using the park. So if you wanna go down there and have a wedding, and you don't mind people walking around in the background or whatever, that's perfectly fine, whoever wants to use the park.
Thank you. Question answered.
Paula, Seth,
Just one more thing on hers. When the Selkirk Trailblazers use the park, they get their fee waived, but they've also put it over almost $20,000 into park improvements, just so that you know they do way more payback. Yeah, and the Lions. So can I go ahead with what I came for?
sure.
Okay. The water rates. I'm not real controversial, honestly, but it really upsets me about the overage fees, that those of us that care about how our yard looks are getting penalized for wanting to water. I know Paula takes great care in her yard, Paula Joe. We do. We have almost an acre, and it takes a lot of water to keep it green. My main concern is if we ever have a fire in this community, I have a good fire barrier around my house that hopefully I won't get burnt up, along with almost every one of my neighbors in our neighborhood up at the end of Houghton. I feel like this is an unjust fee that we're being charged. I don't understand where that money goes, that extra money goes. Does it go to the water? That was back to the water and sewer. I have no problem with a rate increase. I have no problem because I know things cost more nowadays. Everything costs more. But we're also being taxed to death in Washington. We have to pay for our bags. We pay the highest gas tax, on and on. I can make lists. So I don't feel like that we should suffer having to try to keep our lawns green for the summer. And I don't allow my water to run down the street. I'm very, very careful when we're setting it up that it stays in my yard. And when it gets to the point that it's starting to get in the alley, I would move it. I just care a great deal about it, and I guess I kind of started this today where a lot of people are here for the water. I was told early on in the spring the contribution fee was going to be waived again, and then I was told last night, no, it wasn't. So I kind of did some checking and called in today and found out, no, I was told wrong. But I really think the town should take into consideration those of us that want to. If anything else, charge the people who don't water. They're the ones causing a lot of issues with their unwatered lawns, come the bugs, come fire hazards, and all along that. So I'll let the next person talk.
Thank you, Paula.
Yeah.
Then, Anna Joe?
Hi. To piggyback on
And Anna Joe,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't mind stepping up here by this chair, I think the microphone will pick you up a little better.
Okay, to piggyback off of Paula's, not only is it, the lawns and, that kind of thing, because we're trying to beautify, right? We've got a beautification crew, right? And I don't know if some of you know where I live and some of you know what I've done to my place. Worked really hard, but on top of that is gardens.
Right?
Because I don't buy a lot of stuff at the grocery store. I don't trust the food that's being put out by the United States of America. And I grow and try to buy as much local as possible. The little farm stands, there's little farm stands in town as well as out, and we exchange produce and all that kind of stuff. And if we can't be watering our gardens, I have to water my garden twice in the morning and at night, because it just sucks dry. It just sucks dry. And I've got fruit trees and berry bushes all along the perimeter of my 1 acre yard. And my produce, my sustenance will suffer for that, and so a lot of people do grow their own food as much as possible. So, and to also save our money from having to, do that, I'll get the other things from the store, as far as produce and things that I can. I try to really do my best, because I do provide for others in town as well. So, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
That's Ms. Beers.
Miss Beers, I'm sorry. Sorry, Cindy, you're not here to keep me in line.
I just want to say I do not agree with any tax increase, any kind. We like to keep our yard watered. I think we get taxed to death already as it is. It's in this entire state of Washington. Now they're picking on the poorest state in Washington, poorest part of the town. And I just want to say that Jeff is always careful, mindful about watering. We turn it off promptly, but we love our yard, we don't garden as much as we did. And I just don't agree with it, period. I don't like it, and I don't want to do it. So I just want to make that record clear. I love all you guys, but I'm not in agreement with any increase or telling me when and when I cannot. That almost sounds like communism. So I do not agree with that. That's all. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sir, I think you have your next hand up. Barry?
Well, my name is Barry Sharp. I've lived here for 43 years. And we had the driest winter that we've had in 43 years in the past couple of years. The water resources are lower. When the water resources are lower, there's no water to water your lawn because you have 12,000 gallons that you can use. And you can't hardly wash your clothes, do your laundry, everything else with 12,000 gallons, and have a lawn and have a garden and have fruit trees. So you have to stop charging for surplus water use, raise the revenue some other way. You can put another surcharge on something else, that's fine. But we need to have the water to water the ground. This is a tourist town. Everybody comes up here to play on their four-wheelers and everything. We're going to have fires. We're going to have fires that are accidentally set, and we're going to have fires that are arson. So we need to have it green in town, so when the fire comes to town, it doesn't just go through like it does all the other towns, and we have just a pile of ashes. And then everybody is going to go broke, because nobody wants to come up to a dead town. So I would like it if we didn't raise or didn't charge the surplus for the water usage until we get back to a normal weather cycle when the weather and nature provides the water for our ground. That's all I want to say.
Okay, thanks, Barry. Next, so, I'm sorry, I never remember names very good.
Tony.
I'll stand over here. Okay, so everybody probably remembers reading about the great big fires in the early 1900s, I think 1910, 1939 or something like that. Okay, do you know why those fires, not what the start was, but why it burned up as much property and homes as it did? Probably because people back then didn't have lawns to water, so there was no fire break. Well, now that we're more populated, more, like he says, more people are coming up here to visit. We need these fire breaks. It may burn a few buildings if there was a fire, but it wouldn't wipe out the whole town. So that, and then I want to kind of reiterate the town beautification. They put up the flowers, they put up the benches and everything to beautify the town. That's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig if everybody's yard's going to look like crap. So it's kind of running over, mowing over the town beautification, what they're trying to do. That's all I got to say.
Corey, I think you were next.
Okay, my name is Corey McNeil. A lot of people know me. I was on the council for 6 years. Has anybody heard of a town called Malden? Okay, I used to live there. There's no more town. What happened is they raised the rates, people stopped watering their yards, and the whole town in a flash fire from a down power cable went 30 miles, wiped out Malden, Pine City, it reached almost to St. John, Washington. Those people have not rebuilt their homes because most of them didn't have insurance. I don't want to see this town be burnt to the ground because of some guy out there running around in a four-wheeler throwing a cigarette or whatever.
Spark off nothing.
Yeah, it is. If you get to the point you can't water your lawn, you can't protect your family, you can't protect your home, you can't protect your town. I'm sorry, I just don't believe we should be raising the rates for people that are trying to keep their grass green, are being penalized, because that's what they did down in Whitman County, down in Malden. They raised the rates and people stopped mowing their yards, stopped watering the yards, and it turned into a tinderbox. I've got 30 or 40 friends that still are homeless, living in hotels and all kinds of different things because they could not rebuild their home. So, matter of fact, my house burned down, but I had sold it already, so I'm not worried about it. But we can't allow that to happen here. You know, whether you like me or not, I don't care. It just boils down to, if we allow the town to be dehydrated to the point that it burns to the ground, we'll be kicking ourselves in the butt for the next 100 years. Because I don't know about you, but if my neighbor loses their home, I'm upset. Not because of something I could have done, but you have to have some empathy for anybody that's hurt, and that can cause damage. The lady down at the, down at the
Tiger store. Tiger store, Janine.
Yeah, her house got struck by lightning. Now that brings up a question. Every house in town, are we grounded that it doesn't happen to us? They're missing grounding wires. The cables that are supposed to ground everything to the ground were not. They weren't there. Okay? You've got to make sure we're all up in the new 21st century, not in the 1800s. And one of the things is, you got to have a lawn. You got to have that fire break between anything outside and your home. And if we start raising the rates like Malden did, people stop watering the lawn. And it burned to the ground. There's 8 houses left out of 400 that didn't get burned. So, take it, that's, to me, evidence that this is possible. And it's going to happen. And I just don't want to see it happen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
Yes, sir, Jody.
My name's Jody Rogers. I've lived here about 26 years now. I got a place. I have an insurance company that comes by every year. I just had to take down a tree next to my house. $400 to remove a tree. They look at my grass. Oh, good fire break. If I don't water it, I drop insurance. Now my house goes down. I can't get insurance. It's a big deal. They want to drop my insurance because I wasn't close enough to a fire hydrant. I had to get the old chief to actually prove that there's a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of my house, right down the road. Kind of hid back in the bushes, but there's a fire hydrant. So insurance companies are a big deal, whether you're going to lose a home because you can't maintain the grass, or clean it up. And I agree with Paul, we need to go after people that have crappy yards, just piles of junk in their yard. Them are more hazardous than somebody trying to take care of a place and make this town beautiful. I paid double with the old system. I paid double in water than I do for a 3-bedroom home for power. That's something to think about.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is this a matter of revenue, raising revenue? Is that why you want to raise the water using over rates?
Well, I wanted to give everybody a chance to comment, and then I've just got a couple things from the technical side I was gonna mention, and then we'll move on with the meeting, but else that has a comment?
I have one last section.
Okay.
The town of Malden City Hall and Fire Department burnt to the ground. It's gone. Thousands of dollars in equipment, fire trucks, tractors, lawnmowers, things like that are all gone. A friend of mine is the mayor of Malden. I talked to her just the other day. Everybody's attributing it to the raising of rates. It was $70 just to get your basic raise. And people to stop paying and stop doing anything that was gonna benefit them by watering the lawn and keeping it mowed and green. And I just do not want to see that here. So take it with a grain of salt, but it boils down to is if we raise the rates and people stop watering the lawns, it's going to bite us in the ass. That's the only way I can put it. As bad as the fire danger is up here, it's going to be real bad.
Anything else? I want to come out from behind the table if that's all right.
Dan,
Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am.
Just, I just have a question about where our money goes right now. Like, I know there's a $30 base rate, then there's a $30 usage charge, and then I think there's another like $30 for sewer. Is it for sewer?
Yeah, you're seeing the sewer on the bill there, $39.
So just kind of where does all of that, where does all of that go?
Well, as, and Sandy can give it more descriptive, but there's 3 accounts for water and 3 accounts for sewer. So there's an operating and maintenance account that's the day-to-day, Roger was down working on a sewer lift station yesterday and today, and the money that he spent to restore that comes out of that operating and maintenance account. And then we also, in the water program, we have a debt reserve account. And right now we have a loan, and I forget the exact amount of the balance of that loan, but we've been paying off that loan since they built the water system in 2012. And the debt reserve account is a little bit like collateral for your loan. So when we went and got that loan in 2012, we had to start putting money into a debt reserve, which is kind of like a guarantee that if all things caved in, we could still pay the loan, because that's what they're worried about, So, and then there is a capital account, and that capital account is an account that gets money put into it every year, saving up for a bad day. So, and I just read it today, and I haven't shared this with the council yet, but I will because I pulled our water plan out. Is the state actually has a formula for determining what reserve account should be. And in 2012, we were below the threshold that they said we needed to be for our reserve account. But we were in pretty good shape. We were in a lot better shape than other communities. And so we've been building that up every year that we can. There's been a transfer of money from the O&M account goes into the debt reserve. And that's that. And the capital account. And so that's what builds those up, so we have money for future issues, if it should happen. The sewer side of the house runs very similar the same way. And last year, they went through a huge process to change the rates for sewer. It was a relatively large increase because we've got about $12 million worth of work that's going to be done on the sewer system, or needs to be done on the sewer system. $2.2 million of it that we've already obligated, loans and grants and money for, that should be starting this fall. And on the water side, we're very fortunate, because back in 2000, Ken, I'm trying to remember when the plant was built. The new plant was
2010.
built. Yeah. So basically that was all done, and the water rates have pretty much stayed the same since then. So the rate schedule that we have right now, the ordinance that we have is a 2011 rate schedule. That was the 30 and 30. So I don't want to debate why water lawns and that sort of thing, because you're entitled to your positions and thoughts about that. That's, you know, it's like, why do farmers do some of the stuff they do? You know, why does, you know, boat guys do what they do? So I'm not going to debate that, but I would like to just point out a couple other things. The 2011 rate schedule that had us at $30 per meter fee and $30 for a usage fee, if we applied the inflation rate from 2011 to now, that rate should be about 44 bucks. Just saying. Not saying I want to make it 44 bucks. I'm just saying if we applied the inflation rate, it would be 44 bucks for each of them. So that would be 88 bucks right there for water. And the reason I bring that up is because every year you have inflation. You have sometimes a small amount, sometimes a big amount, but either way, that inflation eats into the money that you're collecting for that water. Yes, ma'am?
I was gonna say, can't you just raise the rate and stop the overage prices?
Let me ask her.
Raise the rate.
Let me ask her a question first, please.
Mine's along the same lines, okay? You're talking about before that water plant was put in. Yes, we would probably be paying the $44, but back then, we didn't get charged an overage fee. We paid flat fee. So
Okay.
I don't think anybody would complain about $44. You know, raise it 50 bucks for sewer and.
Take it easy now.
No, I still would come out ahead without having to pay the overage fees. The overage fees is what is killing us.
Barry?
No, that's all I'm saying. You can raise your rate to $44 and get rid of the overage fee.
Okay. And
That's what I started out saying, is I have no issue with rate increases because I know things cost more. But even if you do a rate increase, we're still gonna have that overage fee. And that's what I don't like. You call it a conservation fee all you want, but it's still because I choose to water my lawn when the guy down the road doesn't. So that's what I don't like, is that I'm being punished because I want to water my lawn.
Donnie, did you have your hand up, or somebody back there had their hand up?
Sir, I'm good.
Okay. Or
I'm listening.
If I remember right, the overage fee or the conservation fee was a fee put out by the state in order to cut people's water use. And they have these high rates because they want to conserve water.
Well, the conservation fee, such as it's called, was part of our water conservation plan that was actually included in the last 2012 water program plan, a book about that.
But it came from the state.
Back then. Well, it came from us, but it had to meet certain requirements for the state. So the state law says, this is what you have to have.
I'm talking the ecological, whatever they call themselves.
Ecology.
Ecology, that's it. That was where the price originated.
There's a Department of Health piece in there, and then there's a Water Department of Ecology. And so essentially, when they look at those water conservation plans, they really don't look at how much water is available to them. That's the trouble that people sometimes have is, you know, we've got 3 wells down there, adjacent to the Pondray River. You know, where's our water conservation, or where's our water usage problem? Well, we're lucky because in 2010, we got a plant up there that can make a lot of water. And I don't know where we're at in our daily output versus usage, but I think just by looking at the plant, it's capable of, doing a lot of water. But it costs us every gallon of water that runs through the plant costs money. So that's just a fact. And the water is pumped from the river up to the plant, it gets treated, and it either goes right out into the distribution system or it goes up the hill to the reservoir. Jody?
Yeah, did we see any study from last year when they stopped the conservation fee, increasing a huge amount of water, or has it been the same? Did we see millions more gallons being used every year because that fee was dropped for last year?
Yes,
Or did it maintain the same if people still water the grass that normally do, and people that don't water the grass normally don't?
No, it increased. It did increase.
By how much?
We,
Well, it's hard to put a number on it because it goes up and down. And for instance, the number of people that fall into the category for the conservation fee, sometimes in a month it's only three users. In another month it might be 46. So it just depends, it depends a lot on time of year and that sort of thing.
Are we seeing anything with like solar, people that come up here and stay for summer and then leave? We see a big drop in winter time in the water usage? Is it just summer and maybe the snowbirds are coming back, there's a lot of watering and then they don't do it, they take off?
Yeah, at the end of the day, and this is what I kind of want to close out my thought with, because the council will deliberate this and figure out what they want to do. But at the end of the day, my concern is, for instance, I have the RV park on 1 meter, I got my house on another. The RV park this time of year, I'm pushing right up against that 15,000 gallons all the time. For about 3-4 months, I'm pushing right up against that 15,000 gallons. My house, I'm lucky if I use 3,500. And there's a lot of people in the town, like 80% of our meters in the town never even get close to 15,000 gallons. So the number of people over is a smaller percentage of the people. So the question I ask you, and I'll just ask it of myself, is since Cedar RV Park pays 1 meter and Dan Nutt pays the other meter, should Dan Nutt be subsidizing the RV park if I decide to let her rip and water fully green all the time, but I pay the same price? That's the question that bothers me. And one of the proposals, there was 3 proposals given to the council, and it's a tough job. I've done this many times in my professional career. It's never easy coming up with rate setting and a fair system, because ultimately you want it to be fair, right? So does the person that only uses 4,000 gallons in a month, because they either don't have a yard or whatever the case may be, they're essentially subsidizing that the conservation fee if we aren't charging. And obviously, in certain water systems where you can keep your costs down, if you can keep your total cost down to, say, $50 a month and use as much as you want, maybe that's acceptable to people. Maybe it is. But for instance, where I came from, the people that watered their yards, their water bills were $500 and $600 a month.
Where did you come from?
I came from the coast, over in South Puget Sound.
Well, they have different laws over there, different people than we have here. And we don't have any shortage of water.
Well, all I can tell you is that we had no shortage of water in South Fox Island water system either, but the utility company ran our system, and that sucks, because basically we paid big money for the utility.
The problem I have is my meter is underground and I can't read it. I don't know how many gallons of water I'm using.
It's on your bill.
Well, it's on your bill.
Yeah, but I don't know how many gallons of water I'm using every day so I can water my lawn.
Well, we talked about this with another, at
I'll
another
look at
meeting,
my
and
bill
and one of the
my
things
wife
that,
would.
one of the things that Roger and Tom can do is if you have a concern or even a question about your water usage, they can bring their reader
I think
to your house and they can
doing a
read
pretty
it.
good
and tell
job is supplying people with water. But I just don't like paying, 10 cents a gallon or 4 cents a gallon for over 12,000 gallons. The 12 or
It's
15.
1/3 of a cent per gallon over 15,000 gallons.
Well, if you have a garden or an RV park, they're using more water and you shouldn't have to pay a higher rate for your over usage. Because people are using under, so averages out, doesn't it?
But those people that are using under are subsidizing you or
Well, that's
subsidizing
too
me.
bad. That's their choice. They have a choice to water the lawn and they're not watering their lawn. They don't wanna water their lawn, that's fine. But they're paying for that amount of water, they don't use that amount of water, anybody else uses it, it's free water.
So that whole, subject of how the fee is gonna be assessed and everything, that's the purview of the council, and those sort of discussions have been had quite a bit. So that, obviously, they're hearing what you're saying today, and if we move into that, just that discussion, we've talked about that till we're blue in the face, so.
Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a question. I want to bring up one thing. So I am here for the people in the town, and I want to make that pretty clear. So I have been listening to both sides, and I think there's just got to be the right formula. But what I'm hearing, I have people come to me asking me if the rates are going to be higher because they only use 3,000 gallons. And they can't afford the rates to be higher because people want to water their yards. So then I hear it from you guys and I get what you're saying. We really just got to work on this and come up with some kind of a solution where it's not affecting, it's going to affect all of us no matter what. But I think those people that are used to getting the 15,000, that use 3,000, they don't want to start paying $50 a month or so because then their bill's up higher. And they're budgeted. There's a lot of people in the community that don't have the money to pay for extra water or extra cost. So I just want the people to know I do hear what the town people are saying. I just really feel we need to come up with a better compromise on it.
Well, I don't see why people that are going over 15,000 gallons can't pay the over. The people that don't use 15,000 gallons should be penalized.
Well,
Should be penalized?
Should not be penalized. If you're doing 5,000 gallons a month, but Mr. Nutt, no offense, I'm just using you as an example.
He's a servant.
Mr. Nussler.
Oh, sorry. I'm servant, sorry. Anyway, Mr. Nutt, your guys use 25,000 gallons. Why should everybody pay a higher rate when it's your rate, your water usage that caused it?
I agree.
And
I agree. I'm satisfied with paying for what I use, but that's what I've done my whole, every house I've ever owned, I paid what I paid.
Can I give an explanation and move
Sure.
on from this?
Yeah.
We've heard it all. Basically, you've all said it, what you want to say. Just give you an overview of what this is. Back when we did this water system, we sat down, we figured out what our cost was, and when we got the system put in, part of the agreement was we would read meters and charge by the usage. So we set the tiers of it, that at up to 15,000 gallons, you paid a certain amount. Above that, you paid actually only 0.2 of a cent, and our cost was 0.3 of a cent. So you're actually getting it cheaper than what our cost is. And that's because of the people that don't use all of it, okay? And the other point is, the water system and the sewer system are utilities. They have to support themselves. When you said other revenue, you can't use other revenue for the water system. You can't take water from the water, or money from the water system and use it anywhere else. It has to support itself. It has to build up these accounts in case of major issues, like with the sewer that's going on right now. So that's the reason for this. I don't think that anybody that uses less than 50, especially people that use less than 5,000, should get a rate increase so that people that use over 15,000 don't have to pay for it. That's my point, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the point to you guys, so you understand what it is. But I think we've heard it all now. those of you out there, you don't wanna have to pay for the water you use. That's what we've gotten so far. And you've got your reasons, and that's okay, but it's time to quit going on and on about it, or we'd be here all night.
Can I talk about the fairness and the subsidized thing? Okay, you waive people in the winter time because they gotta leave their faucets dripping. Those of us that don't have to have our water dripping because our house is well insulated, we're having to subsidize that, and where's our fairness? So, as I'm saying, in the summertime when we have to water, it's kind of tit for tat.
No.
We have to.
Let me give you an example of that, why that is too. It's not just for the people. My house, a few years ago, my water froze. It froze under the road from the town side. If I wouldn't have had another frost free from my trailer house over there to run the hose over, the city would have had to come and dig up the street to fix that, okay? That's a big expense for the water system. So leaving your money trickling in your house makes that worthwhile for the little bit that it is. And most water that I ever used doing that was 9,000 gallons.
You don't water, so.
No, I don't. So what? What's that got to do with in the winter and running my water?
Well, I'm just talking about the fairness, because you're talking about fairness and subsidized.
The fairness is keeping the city from having to go out there and dig up the roads when the water freezes going across the road.
I'm looking at the fairness is keeping a fire break barrier, so the fire department and you guys don't have to worry about our life being in danger. So I'm just putting that out there.
So, thank you. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing I had to say lastly was, I know Chippewa's basic rates are much higher than the town of Ione's rates, but they also don't have any kind of a limit. They up there from water, is at least a couple years ago, as far as I know, I was told, they don't have any kind of an overage rate or a conservation fee, if you want to call that.
Yeah, with Chippewa, the current agreement is basically we sell them the water and they can, at a rate, and they can bill the customers how they want to. And I will say that both the sewer and the water contracts, we're trying to renegotiate them because they're both expired right now. And it's tough. It's tough.
I get it.
So one last thing I'd like to say, and then we're going to move on with the agenda. And I know that the council wants to do the right thing, but I just want to tell you, I think we've got it pretty good here right now. I mean, Roger and Tom, they spend a couple hours with the water system every day of the week. They spend a similar amount of time with the sewer system every day of the week. So they're on top of it. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but there's a meeting going on at another town right now that their water system is pretty much done. And they're struggling, meaning they're to the point where you can't turn on a faucet and get water on out there. Certain times of the day, there's no water. They just had their rate raised a few weeks ago or a couple months ago to $176 a month. Flat rate, no matter how much you use, plus they have restrictions for people that were visibly using a lot of water.
That was water and sewer, 170.
Was it?
It was 100 water, 70 for sewer.
Yeah.
That come from Mike Flanagan.
Yeah. So, and the leadership of the town, the mayor resigned this morning, is my understanding. And it sucks. It sucks to be a neighbor to those folks and see what they're going through. And it sucks that they gotta go through it. And as your mayor for the next 3 years, 5 months, and 15 days, but who's counting? I want to do my very best, along with the council, because the council's the ones making the decision. All I can do is help hold the buggy. But I want to put us in the best position so that you can go to bed every night knowing that you don't have to worry about the water system. And you don't have to worry about the sewer system. And if the way to get there financially is a flat rate for everybody, then the council will take that under advisement. They will work it over, and we will have a public hearing again when they finally settle on that ordinance, because it's gotta be in the ordinance and it's gotta have a public hearing. And I really hope that you all come out. Well, we've got a website that is about a day away from going live. We're gonna be able to get this information out to you better, draft ordinances, whatever it takes to get you the information so that you can be comfortable that the town is doing the very best they can to make a good decision. Now, it was a crappy decision in some people's minds that I looked at the ordinance, I looked at what took place last year, and, I was the one that said, we have to be charging the ordinance rate. And we've tried for the last few weeks to come up with an alternative. We didn't quite get there. So this next billing period, the ordinance applies. But does that mean that we're done? No. It means that we've got 3 or 4 options that the council's already been taking a look at. They've been chewing on them. This is the kind of input that I think they need and is useful to them. And then, like I say, when we go to that public hearing process, what we don't want to do is we don't want to have our minds made up until we actually hear from folks. But what we need to have for you is to say, this is what we want to do. And then you either tell us that's baloney or we can live with it. But at the end of the day, I want it to mean that our water system is sound, that we have a little money in the bank if something goes wrong. I mean, Roger and I had some discussions about what are the worst case scenarios. Well, the worst case scenario in our water plan from 2012 was that the reservoir fails. That's the most expensive thing in the plan. And in 2012, they said it would be $500,000 to fix it. I gotta believe it would probably be a little more than $500,000 today. And thank goodness Roger had a full inspection done on it here just a few weeks ago. Video, the guy swam in the tank and cleaned it. And I'm happy to report, and the council's happy to report that that tank is in really good shape. And so I say thank you, you know who, for keeping that reservoir straight. Now we have some other challenges, like the line that's going over the Cedar Creek Bridge and some of that sort of stuff, but we'll work through those. And the well pumps, yeah, we've got probably a well pump replacement to do this year. That'll be $125,000.
So does the overage, because you can call it conservation all you want, but it's an overage fee. Does that money go into improvements or does it go into the general fund?
Well, everything goes into the O&M account. And then usually, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the year is when basically staff has looked at the account status and said, okay, we're gonna move 25,000 to debt reserve and 15,000 to capital.
We actually budget for that.
But it's in the budget?
It's in the budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we work toward it as a budget goal. And so that is what happens to that money. Now, as far as calling what we make as profit, I would prefer to call it margin. I mean, it's a play on words, but it would really suck if we weren't making a little bit of margin. Not a lot. I mean, Roger ain't driving a new pickup. He needs new tires this year, but, we ain't driving new pickups. But we gotta make a little bit of margin and make sure that when we call in those guys to do that tank inspection, we get the full meal deal and we get a report. If you wanna come in and look at the video and you wanna see the report, eventually it's gonna get posted on the website so you can all see it. Transparency. But anyway, we're 4 minutes over where I wanted to stop this. Thank you for your comments, and please continue with this process. And I know that the council is going to do their very best to move to, maybe it's an interim solution. I mean, they may vote on something tonight, and we have a public hearing, you know, next week or whatever. I mean, that's kind of up to the council. They've got a few options, but it is really tough, and this has been helpful for y'all to come in. Like I say, there's another 80% out there that aren't using over 15,000 a month, that I know that they probably have a say in this, but thank you, and, you know, let's keep after it.
Thank you for taking the time and talking to us about this.
Thank you, thanks. Do we need a recess, or is everybody good? Pardon me?
Let's keep going.
Keep going?
So it closes at.
At, yeah, whatever you have. Do we need a recess, Joe?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Anybody else?
You sure, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're gonna continue with the agenda, and could I please have a motion to approve our accounts payable in the amount of $17,511.06?
So moved.
Their second?
Second.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. I think the bill packet, is that gone around, Sandy?
Yeah, it's right there, Paul
Okay.
signed.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I don't believe we have any guest presenters tonight, although Captain Ireton, do you have anything from the fire department?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you, sir. I did want to ask, are you guys driving on that new concrete over there now? Are they using that Bay 4 or whatever it is? Okay,
Yeah, I have no problems at all.
okay, great.
Very nice.
We'll now move on to old business and the water rate ordinance. And, of course, Michael hasn't had the advantage of having this stuff in front of him, but, we do not have a motion on the table to bring off of the table or anything else, so.
I have something here, Joe last time said something about adding more tiers. And I think that could maybe work too. If we go like up to the 20,000, what I put out there, up to 20,000. If we go every 10,000 passed, we just do another $10 for every 10,000 passed, which is at only 1/10 of a cent per gallon instead of the 3 cents per gallon, which we're charging at the time for anything that goes over. So that's just where, as people go up, you pay for what's used basically, but at 1/10 of a cent per gallon.
Right, and I would like, we've been doing a lot of, last couple of weeks on all the numbers and everything, and
Speak up.
we came up with a, excuse me, we looked at different areas that had different rates, and Caldwell seemed to have a pretty cut and dry, simple method of, they charge $30 for the base rate, and then the $30 usage rate goes up to 20,000 gallons, and after 20,000 gallons, you pay 0.00177 per 1,000 gallons, or per gallon, excuse me. And that works out to basically $1.17 per 1,000 gallons. So I'm thinking that a good compromise on this whole thing is basically for us to, they actually have a copy here if you guys like to look at it, but I'll read it there. Anyway, what I propose to do in order to keep the monies solvent for the equipment, the meter rate basically would stay the same at $30. The base rate would go up to 35, and then that would give us 15,000 gallons. And after 15,000 gallons, we would pay basically $1.17 per 1,000 gallons. And that means that basically if you use 10,000 gallons over the 15,000, it'd be $11.70. if you use 50,000 gallons, I have it broken per thousand, but if you use 50,000 gallons over, it's 58.80. Yeah, I think it's a number that we can live.
I like your idea, you're actually gonna charge more than I was gonna.
Yeah, no, I think.
No, it's not.
This is simple, this is simple
less.
for them to figure out, and I think that this is a good compromise for everybody. It builds up our monthly amount, and basically, for instance, the number that we would be losing as far as, let's say at the current 33.0033 a gallon, for 10,000 gallons would be $33. At the 0.00177, it would be $11.70.
My proposal is one-tenth.
Okay, so we're on the same line.
Which is, actually, you're saying more than what I was saying, so I'm happy.
So how are you feeling about that?
Like I said, this is good, that's more than, except I kind of disagree with raising $5 for people that are using less than 4,000, less than 5,000 gallons. That's all, I mean, I don't think we should be raising the rates on the people under 4,000.
Paula wants to talk.
So the only reason why we considered a $5 increase is if we implement this, the town is going to go back to people that are not going to pay this. They are not going to pay this overage fee, conservation fee, whatever you want to call it, because they're just not going to do it. We're going to go back to what we were. So if you raised it by $5, that's basically based off of 284 meters. That's basically $1,420 a month that we're going to take in. That's $17,040 a year that we're going to take in that will help offset. Because if I look at what your proposal was, you basically said that last summer, and the question about whether we figured out whether people watered more or not, we did do that. I don't know how Ken got his stuff, but Joe and I went through month by month by month, 24, 25, 26. I can show anybody in this room that has an account with the town of Ione how much water you've used. And it definitely showed that the vast majority of people, unless you've got a leak or you've got your water turns on completely, nobody gets up to that 15,000 unless you've probably got a leak. So the town of Ione is ahead for about 9 months unless there's some catastrophic thing that has happened, because the town pumps the water and we purchase it at 15,000 gallons, but say we looked at you guys 1 month, you only used a little over 2,000 gallons. So you had, 13,000 gallons that you paid for that you didn't get. So what this does is it helps offset for the people that are not gonna water, they're not gonna be able to afford this. But the bottom line is that all of us that are hooked to this system, we have an infrastructure that we need to maintain. And I don't think $5 more a month is that much. Don't go buy your pack of cigarettes or your bottle of beer or your bottle of Pepsi. I mean, I'm just gonna be blunt and transparent here. It's like we all need our water. A lot of us wanna keep our places nice. I mean, we've already figured out what we can sell our places for here right now. It's a lot because it looks very nice and it gets compared to other places. So we shouldn't be penalized, but I think that we all need to be in this system together and we all need to pay. When we looked at, was it 90, what was the one? Because it's basically that first 15,000 gallons is at
0.002.
is how that $30 is calculated. That's what was done in 2011. So then after that, we were at, and I've got the information here. I've done my research, folks. It was raised, I think, to 0.28, and then it was raised to 0.0033. So there has been some small rate increases if you look at the literature. Now, I don't know in the system, all I can do is go by what I read here. But this proposal, I mean, do I want to pay, I think the most that we've ever used is 88,000 gallons. I'll be the first one to say that. We have over an acre that we water. We have 2 city lots that we water. We have a garden, we have flowers, we use timers, we use the drip lines. I mean, we do everything we can to try to conserve, but the bottom line is if you've got a big place you're gonna use the water to try, and our whole place is not green. So, you know, if you use 80,000 gallons, we're gonna pay $93.60 more based off of our $65 that we would have to pay. But I think that bottom line, if people could see what they're gonna do, and the thing that Joe and I are looking at is going and buying a meter and putting it on our lines so that we can go out there, because we actually checked the other day our meter to make sure that we are spot on, that it's reading accurately. It is reading accurately. So then we ran some hoses to see how much we used. And just so that we could know, so in order to keep having to have Roger and them come up and do all that for us, we thought if we buy an inline meter and hook it, I mean, basically we already know our house uses about 3,000 to 4,000 gallons a month. That's kind of a given. But we wanted to know on the outside, how much are we using so we can try to conserve. So we were gonna buy something like that so we can keep track of it and try to keep our costs down here, because we're living on Social Security. You know, we're like a lot of other people in this town. But it needs to be fair to everybody. And the bottom line is that in the wintertime, people do, and this is in all those numbers, there are people out there that turn their water wide open and 40, 50,000 gallons is going down the drain. And it's okay to do that. But if you've got somebody in the summertime that wants to water their yard and they're using 40 or 50,000 gallons, they're being told they have to pay.
And pay a lot. So, yeah.
And it needs to be fair for all of us.
And I think.
Can I say something? So what you're asking, Paula, is for me, I use maybe 2,000, 3,000 watering even, that I should pay more money now. Is that what you're proposing?
I'm proposing, Joe and I are proposing that for the infrastructure of the water system, we need to maintain that. And if we go back to the 0.0033, you're gonna get people that are gonna quit watering, because there's documentation in 2024, people did not do that. The town of Ione took in $8,400 in conservation fees. And after you took away the commercial side of that, the town took in $3,700 to go towards the water department. So by having that extra $5 a month, we all need to be able to support our system. I mean, if you go back to the way it is, we're going backwards. We will go backwards. So we just basically, and this was a proposal that I had put out, in March 19th of 2025. I had got this information from Colville. And I gave this out to everybody that was here. It was talked about in numerous workshops about what we were gonna do. So when we were at our last meeting and we were talking about what we were gonna do here, I went home and I told Joe, I said, let's look at Colville again, because I said, this is pretty decent for everybody, and it's reasonable. It's not like us, because if you use, what was the numbers for, you wrote,
For what?
it was the comparison. Like for 90,000, what did we do? There was 90 or 100,000 based off of that 0.0033.
Can I offer something, Paula, from a parliamentary standpoint here?
Let me finish this. Basically, if you use at our current system at 0.0033, your overage charge or conservation fee is $269, plus your $60 water fee. If we went with this plan, an 80,000, you're gonna pay $93.60. So it's not the same. There is quite a difference there. So to me, to make up for that and help the town, we all should share, every single one of us, because those of us that are gonna use more water are gonna pay for more water, so there's no free water. But we all need to share in the system to help support the system. So, what were you gonna say, Dan?
I was just gonna say, from a parliamentary standpoint here, we do not have a motion on the table.
Absolutely.
If we want to consider this and debate it, then maybe we're done debating it, and maybe you just wanna give it to the staff, and we'll put it in the form of an ordinance and get it ready for whatever it is. You know, move it to the public hearing and that sort of thing, then I would suggest making the motion to advance this as a rate schedule.
Are you okay with that, Kim?
Like I say, I kind of don't like the raising $5 for people that use less than 4,000 gallons. That's the only part of it that I disagree with. Otherwise, I'm good with it. I'm good with it otherwise.
So, yeah, I think we should move forward in putting it in there. There's only a couple things that I'd like to see unless it's gonna be a motion that needs to be made separate. But during the fire season, where level 3, Washington State DNR or Forest Service puts our area in a level 3, I think we should lift the overage charge.
You know, that part can be done by
Okay.
motion, by vote at the time.
And that's what we're,
Okay.
and
That
we
can be
just,
done at that time.
Thank
and
you.
that's why we
Thank you.
put
So
that in
that
there, we
won't
just
be
wanted to know if that could be
So,
done.
I would just suggest that clause be added to the ordinance,
Or whatever, yeah, whatever, yeah.
so
we can do
that, so
later.
that it's covered in the ordinance.
But I mean, what's,
My point in this was that the people that are left here, I wanted you to know what this other proposal is.
yeah, right.
I mean, you don't see what was presented to us. You was told what was presented. But you guys, we need to listen to you. You are the residents. We are your voice. But yet, as a council, we also have to adhere to the Department of Health, the Department of Ecology. There's rules that we have to follow. You know, we have talked to the state. We have talked to Logan, the town attorney. We have talked to Steve, who is with our TDH engineering. It's like we have done a thorough research on this to try to do the best we can for the town of Ione and make this as fair for everybody. Fair for the town to be able to try to support ourselves and to support you guys and make this fair for people that need to leave their water running in the wintertime, but also to be able to water our yards if we want to. And I honestly, truly believe after 30 years of fire service, I see what fire does. And it's like, that is imprinted in my brain. And the town of Ione needs to take a hard look at that and realize that that is totally feasible. And that there is issues with increased taxes. We're being taxed to death. It's like nobody wants to have raised rates. But the bottom line is that we need to be able to provide this to you guys too. So, you know, do we want to pay this extra? No, we don't want to either. But we just felt like this is an option to everybody.
And if it's default, the state's gonna take over and the rate's gonna go through the roof.
Exactly. And I mean, in order for us to get funds from the state of Washington, we have to show that we are trying to conserve water and that we are charging. I mean, the gal that we talked to today, you know, she was very, very informative. In fact, we talked to 3 different people with the state of Washington. So this was just an option that we had, and I wanted you guys to see that tonight before you leave.
And this does have an overage rate to it, so it does go under what the state wants to see for water municipalities charging. So we are still open for grants from the state because we're not, if we didn't charge enough, they'd say, well, you're not charging enough money, we're not gonna give you any money. But this does surpass that.
And that came from
So-
Steve, who is with TD&H, who did our original water plan.
Right.
So I trust him
So
wholly.
that's what I think, and if we could have that put in some kind of,
Just make a motion.
I'll
Hey,
make a
Dan,
motion.
can I say something?
Okay.
Dan?
Go ahead.
Dan? Can you hear me?
he's acknowledging you.
Go
He's
ahead.
saying yes.
Okay, I can't hear him. So I kind of agree with all this, but I'm like Ken, I don't agree that the people that don't use the 4,000 even should have to pay a higher rate. I think we got to look for those people too.
Well, the thing of it is you know, you talk about this is for all the people. But approximately 15% of the people are the ones that go over the 15,000. So if you're looking at the majority of the people in the town, if you're doing it for, it's the people that don't use 15,000 gallons. So that, you know,
So then they're gonna pay what they're already paying.
no, I'm not, the only thing I'm talking about is this $5 increase. That's the only thing I'm disagreeing
But
with.
if you want to do our infrastructure, you have to think about that.
And I haven't, I've looked at that, and I went through when I first got on here, what we're doing on the base rate, for the, what you call the meter rate, we're doing okay on that part for our expenses of that, and what that's costing us. It's the water production, and what we're getting for the water itself is where we're closer, we're not losing at it.
No, we're not losing money
No,
at
but
all.
it's not making what it should. But that's
No,
all
the town is ahead of the game.
well, yeah, we have to. If we're not, we're gonna lose the water system, so.
Yeah.
Like
I
said,
think
the
if
only
you can
thing I'm
come up-
disagreeing with is this $5 increase, that's it, not the rest of it, we don't have.
Yeah,
to
I'm not
discuss-
disagreeing with the rest of it either, Paula. I'm just disagreeing with the $5 increase for people that don't even come close to using their water. That's what I'm disagreeing. The rest of it I agree with, but that part I disagree with.
So,
Okay.
thank you, Cindy, and so what I would suggest to keep this moving is if the council wants to advance this proposal into a ordinance, then staff will put it into an ordinance, and we can schedule a public hearing and take public comment on a specific proposal that gets published to the folks, and then make a final decision on the ordinance after that.
I just have a quick, I guess, parliamentary procedure or whatever. If I'm understanding Ken right, and I'm understanding Paul right, everybody pays the $5 increase. The question people are having is, why am I, who don't go the 15,000, why should I pay the increase? Well,
For the infrastructure of the system.
right, and I'm understanding that. But I agree with you that we need to have the $5 increase. But I understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people in this town are on Social Security.
Yeah, we are too.
And it's hard to, you know, we get a $10 COLA increase every month.
That goes to your Medicare Part B.
Yeah, and then it turns around that you lose $20 because
Right.
they take that plus $10, and then now you got a $5 water fee increase and everything. I understand that, but we'll see what we can do.
All right. Is there a motion in the offing?
You made the motion, I second it.
Is that a 1 from Paul, a 2 from Joe?
Yes.
Been moved and seconded, and again, this will put the proposal forth. Staff will put it into an ordinance, and then it'll be scheduled for a public hearing, and council can schedule that as they
Can I say
see
something
fit.
now?
Yes.
So if this is gonna go into a proposal, and the council is here, including Cindy, do you want that $5 just taken off?
I would be tickled pink with this whole thing if the $5 was taken off.
For the low rate users or for?
But just where the base rate doesn't go up
It
$5.
doesn't,
And everything else is the same.
this
Everything else
$5
is the
rate
same.
is closed out.
Right.
So it still remains at 30 and 30.
Well, I think.
And then we charge $1, whatever it
I
is
think we
per,
just have to understand that after it gets rolling and we see, because, you know, we were within $7,000 of breaking even in a month. So I want to move this forward and try this new system. We just have to understand that, as you point out, we have to make sure the system is funded.
and
there's-
that's why I
And
put
there's a
that in
couple of
there.
numbers.
I think it's a good idea myself.
So is the motion include the?
Well, my motion included that $35, but
Okay,
I
so
don't
it's
want
been
it
moved and
to,
seconded, and the way parliamentary procedure works is somebody can move
I
to
would
strike
move
that
to
from
amend
the
that,
motion
to amend that motion to where the base rate stays at $30.
for everybody.
Yeah.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to modify that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we do a roll call vote. So the motion is to amend the original motion and strike the $5 increase to the base rate. How do you vote, Ken?
Aye.
Mike? Aye. Paula?
So what exactly are you saying?
This is to knock the $5 off, to knock down to 30.
So before I vote for that though, I want you to explain what you said, Dan, about you want to check a couple of numbers and about the $7,000. What are you talking about there?
Well, I'm not, like I say, I'm not gonna check any numbers for the ordinance proposal.
No,
My job will be to manage it after we start seeing what sort of money comes in and how that affects our budget. Because we've got two choices when we have budgetary issues. We can either cut expenses or we can raise revenue. And obviously what I'm hearing from the folks is that anytime we can cut expenses rather than raise revenue, that's what we're gonna try and do. So I just know in the numbers Sandy and I looked at real quick, when I say we're just breaking even, yeah, we're just hovering around that break even. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's not as much. But again, that's my.
And that was why we put that, because that's $17,000 a year more that we could put into that pot.
For the $5.
For the $5
So
base rate. Yeah.
So currently the motion on the table, the question has been called as to whether or not to eliminate the increase in the base rate. And Mr. Timmerick has voted aye, Mr. King has voted aye, and I can go to you next, Paul, or I can skip you if you want to think a little more.
I'm very torn because I look at the infrastructure and I look at $5 is $5, and yes, it's difficult, but it's also been driven into my head for the last 3 years that I've been on here that, we need to focus on our infrastructure. And that's what's happening with this. Do I want to pay $5 more? No, I don't. Do I want to strike this? And then you take a look at it from a year from now and say, oh gosh, I guess we can't do that. And then we're back to the drawing board again, redoing all of this over again. And this has been going on since I come on in March of 2024. That's how many years this has taken. So I'm going to say no.
Mr. Sturban.
And I say no also, nay. Yeah, but I guess this is not the time to do it, but we need to also go with the state DOH and have it change from a conservation to a education program. That has to be put in. I don't know if it's this, to be honest with you, or not.
That's part of our water plan, so it's separate from the.
Okay, separate.
So we have 2 nays and 2 ayes, and how do you vote, Ms. Smith?
Aye.
So we have 3 ayes and 2 nays. The amendment to the motion carries. The motion is now to advance this proposal without the $5 increase per month for the new base rate.
So it stays the way it is now, 30 and 30? Because I don't have that.
Right.
Okay.
And then this new tier level. So that motion is now on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Were these all ayes?
Aye.
Pardon me.
Yes,
Okay. Any opposed, same sign? The motion carries. This proposal is given to staff, and Sandy, you and McKenna and I will get that directive done. And we'll get with the council to schedule the public hearing as soon as possible.
So what does that do to this conservation fee that you're talking about enacting in the first?
Well, the conservation fee, I haven't enacted anything. It's already enacted. It's in the ordinance. So when we go through the public hearing, I mean, potentially the things the council could do is they could offer a rebate, they could, basically, you know,
Education program.
you know,
Can't we, go ahead.
Well,
I mean, what I'm thinking of is that, trying to stop that conservation fee, so if we don't go to the 0.0033 cents a gallon over 15,000 for a month period, and then go to a different rate, if we could just not do that, is that something that we could do as a council? Paula?
so I called and talked to Logan about that. We did quite a bit of checking into this. I got a hold of Sonia. We actually have the clip that was done on May 7th of 2025, and it was done in a public meeting. It does say in there, and I apologize because I didn't remember hearing that it was going to be reinstated after 2025. But in this, not the next paragraph, but the next paragraph down in the minutes, we as a council made the decision at a public meeting where it had to be done to change our conservation fee to a education. So when I asked Logan about that, where did that stand? Because that's in the minutes, it was done. But where the downfall was is even though we discussed in a public meeting that because Mike asked if there needed to be a resolution or an ordinance, and we were told by the previous clerk we didn't need one at that time. So I asked Logan, I said, where does that put that vote? You know, it happened in a public meeting, you know, it was voted on, it was 4-1 that the town was going to change from that. He said, if it went to the state, then he says it's pretty much a done deal, you gotta do a resolution. But he said, if it didn't get sent to the state, then he said, what you can do is that you can present it to the council again as a motion to change from conservation fee to a education fee, and then have a resolution drawn up in that manner. So we could do that tonight. So then we talked to Nina with the state about this. She said yes, that at any time we can
well,
change.
it's nice that you're doing my job for me.
Well, you know what, as a council member.
I'm not gonna allow this council to be bullied
I'm not
with
bullied.
less than 24 hours notice for a new agenda item.
Dan, you're not going to tell me what I can't talk about. I'm a council member for the town of Ione. I have a right to talk to an attorney. I have a right to talk to the state Department of Health. That is my job. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that I can't do it.
The motion on the floor, did we accept this motion? Tell me where we're at. Did we vote on it yet?
Yes, motion carries.
So the motion is carried.
I have 3 yeas and 2 noes.
So the water rate ordinance business is done for tonight. If we want to talk about this more, it'll have to be outside of the meeting because the council was not afforded the opportunity to discuss whatever it is that
I was just bringing forward what we found out.
And you
new business.
We're going nowhere.
The last week, the U.S. Forest Service approached us about using the airport for firefighting. They used the airport for firefighting one day for fires north of Priest Lake, and they didn't know exactly what they were going to be doing, if it was going to be 1 day or 3, but they, late on Friday, they wanted to put a land use agreement in with the town. This land use agreement basically is a indemnification, not an indemnification document, but it's a liability. We get covered if they do something wrong, they get covered if we do something wrong, if we're not doing anything up there. And it pays us $200 a day for each day that an aircraft, a Forest Service aircraft, lands at the airport. I executed that agreement as being in the best interest of the town. Normally, I would have taken it to the council first, but they were insistent that they did not want to wait until Wednesday because of what was going on with the fires over at Priest River. So that agreement is in place. Again, it's a 3-pager, it's not a 200-pager. And I'm informing the council so that if you desire to take some other action with respect to the agreement, you can tell me what you want to do. But I think it's $200 a day for every day they land a helo, and they are accepting responsibility for any damages or issues that they cause out there. No discussion, we'll move on to the next item. The animal ordinance. The animal ordinance was brought up at the last meeting, and I was directed to look into the animal ordinance. I think you have a copy of it in your package. And the animal ordinance, I reviewed it, it's pretty complete, and there's a variance process in the ordinance that a property owner can follow if they want to do something that's not covered by the ordinance. So I don't think the town really needs to do anything at this time. And the person who was making the request, we can provide a copy of that ordinance.
What was the ordinance?
Pardon me?
What was the ordinance?
The animal ordinance.
Goats.
Oh, no, please.
Ione Events and Beautification has a fun run. Is that what it's called? Color run?
Color run.
Color run scheduled. Do you have that information somewhere, Andy? Or is it?
That was on your side.
Oh, it's right here. Third annual color run on, it's during Downriver Days. It doesn't have an actual date on here, but the request came from Sally Hewitt, and they want to close Old Mill Road, which is that Mill Yard Road?
Yeah.
From 6 to 7:30 p.m. Does the council have any objection to that?
Yeah, that's not our road. They need to get a hold of Oggins if they want, because Oggins owns that road, and the town doesn't own it. So if they want to do that, they need to contact Oggins to shut it down.
Okay. We'll do that.
Isn't part of it the town, part of it Boggins, and part of it county?
When you get to the tracks out there, then it becomes county, I think.
This part right here, I think, is town.
Right, no.
That part
As soon
along
as
the
as soon
side.
as you make the right here, it's Oggins property. The
That's
road
not
is-
what Brian Smiley had told us when we were looking at it for the truck
The
route.
the street used to go straight through the mill and turn right and go out.
I know, but we lived over there, that was our right of way.
But like I say, that, Boggins put the road in right from the gate, going west and around and up to, I think, well, no, then you got railroad property too, so. But anyway, it needs to be, they need to get contact Boggins if they want to shut it down, it's a private road.
Excuse me.
Next up are staff
We have
report.
somebody in the audience.
Just a quick question. I'm new around here and I don't know all the roads. Where is the mill road? I've got kids that I want to enter in that contest.
Oh,
It's the one that goes beside the store, on the outside the store.
the one that starts over by PUD, it starts right there by PUD.
I'll take you over there afterwards.
Next up is a financial report, and Sandy has included the treasurer's report in your package. Do you have anything to add, Sandy?
No, I just wanted to let Joe know that the STIP report was uploaded to WASDOT.
Oh, good.
And then Steve March called today and asked for a copy of that, so he
good.
can have it, that was
Thank
done. And then the increase for our financials was $16,307 over last month.
Okay, that's in this report, Sandy.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
and that's it for me.
So when it talks about increase, what is that, Sandy? It's like, is that a lot of different items that's increased that 15,000?
No, it's just general. We get a little bit more revenue, different parts of the year. Like some of it, we only get 3 times a year.
Oh, okay.
So when we get those, it bumps it just a little bit, but it's just an average of what we increased over last month. You'll see a big jump when we get our property taxes in the fall.
Oh, okay.
I think going line by line, you can see the changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandy.
Anything else for admin?
Do you have anything you want to add, McKenna?
Nope. She's
Are
probably
you,
great
are you
too.
having fun now?
Did we say welcome to you yet?
So, I've got some stuff for the mayor report, but for the admin report, the website is very, very close to going live. We just have a couple things to tune up. McKenna is ready to be our webmaster. And Sandy pointed out that it would be a good idea, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, to have some policy guidelines for our use of the website. We do not use social media, but we want to make sure that when we post stuff on the website that it has been vetted, because we can post just about anything on there. And there will be a community calendar, or a calendar that can be used for the community. So that is on its way. And at the same time, the next bill arrangement has been finalized. And so we're just waiting for the next bill people to finalize at their end, and then they'll conduct training. They'll set that up with Sandy to conduct training for staff. And that link will then be added to the website so somebody can go on there and pay their bill. So from an admin point of view, that's where that is. Public Works and Maintenance, Mr. Rice?
What are we doing?
Are you not entertained?
I don't know, basically, but we've had trouble with the last couple of months is the sewer lagoons and stuff like that, not the lagoon itself, but the integration with the dumps and all of their wet wipes and everything that come in off of the septic tanks and all that there, giving us a problem on everything that farther up. Seems to be a thing this time of year, so I'd like to spend time there. And our lift station is down in the park, which I focus on getting that fixed before down River Gates, because we need that there, things would have been out of it. So we're not, hopefully I'll get that tomorrow. It's not falling down. This is what I'm doing for focus now on things cleaned up, looking good on River Gates, parks and stuff. For the next 2 weeks, that's what we're working on. Other than that, it's just normal business as usual.
Okay. Thanks, Roger. On another maintenance item, I know Tom called me because about every 2 weeks, somebody's dumping about 6 bags of household trash in the park. And
A lot of garbage cleanup.
so we've, I know on Saturday morning, the 4th of July, I was down there. I hauled 9 bags out of the park and to help get things ready for the Music in the Park event. And we do have video and pictures of the people that were doing the dumping, and I opened a case with the Pondere County Sheriff. And unfortunately, the video and pictures, you know, they just don't pin it down, except that we got a good license plate number, but the license plate has been expired for 2 or 3 years, so the plate comes back to somebody in Cusick that's may or may not be alive. So we'll just continue trying to figure out who that is, because I think it's almost on a schedule for those folks. So going on to the council reports, Mr. Sturban.
Just real quick, the stop sign that we were talking about at the intersection of First and Main, and also smack out and 8th, to put stop signs up, you have to go under the Unified Traffic Control Device Standards. And so they have a whole list of things that has to be, you have to fall under that, and you cannot, they say outright, you cannot use those for slowing down people. So you have to have a threshold to meet to be able to put those signs, just put those signs up randomly. So in order for us to do that and have us liable, not liable for them being up there, we have to cover a couple bases. So one of them is basically crash history, and what I'm doing is I'm gonna get with TDH, Steve, he's the engineer, and see what his take on it is, but it is moving a little bit forward. It's just not a matter of us making a motion to put stop signs up and basically put them up. We've got to have some data behind it, so that is still in the work there. Other than that, no.
Does the TDH guys, can they provide the?
I think they could find, because they're the engineers, obviously, you know that, but they're the engineers that could, because reading the standards that they're putting out, it's a long list. You have to have history of how many accidents were had there, how many people go through that intersection. So I'm hoping Steve can simplify that, is what I'm hoping.
Send you to the direction of.
Yeah, and
I was just wondering if either Condray County Public Works or perhaps the Washcott people up here can provide any guidance to.
they might be.
It may not cost us billable time.
Yeah, I don't spend much time on it, but yeah, I think that's something that you
Potentially, that could work.
especially with the fact that we've already have a stop sign on First. It's just Main Street that I believe we don't have, or vice versa, one of the two. So we already have it controlled two directions.
The control is actually on Main, which seems kind of weird to me.
Should be, yeah.
Stop sign, and then it's First that's wide open. And I went down there the other day and just about hit a motorcycle coming around the corner there at 60 miles an hour, so.
Yeah, and that's the kind of information we're looking forward, are looking in this threshold, crash history, traffic violations, and the volume. So that's in the work. Other than that, that's all I have.
Ms. Sturba?
So, were you gonna bring up about the gutters? Did you?
You probably know as much as I do. We had quotes done, and we just need to select, if we want to proceed, we can select who we want to do it.
Okay. One of the things that when we had our insurance inspection, we had to have gutters put back up that had fallen down. And Dan came to me at last meeting and said that he was gonna have somebody come up and do some quotes for his personal business, and asked, well, what about, do you want the ICC? And I told him, great, I think that that's a great idea. So he had a couple of people that gave us some quotes. And looks like one of them, I haven't really taken, one of them was for $2,242. And then the other one, pen paper here, was for 2,000, a little over 2,000. So I believe that there's money there to do that, and I think that we should go forward with that, but what the process is there, I don't know if we just should, sit down and pick one, or, I don't know. I've never had to deal with this part of this.
Yeah, and it doesn't really require council action, so if we want to sit down separately, I can talk about the two different folks. I mean, Joe met the one kid, and I met the other two guys.
And my opinion is, you've talked to both parties, both contractors, and I think that you should go with whichever one you think to you best.
I mean, when they came up, I was given the opportunity to come down too, and I was in the middle of some personal business, and I told Joe, I said, why don't you just go down? I mean, he's kind of been my project engineer for the building, and so he came down and met with Dan and with one of the guys. The other guy, we didn't know when he was showing up, so we didn't get to meet with him. but it definitely will check off one of the things that we have to fix on the building. And, you know, it would be new all the way around, was my impression.
Seamless.
Seamless.
New seamless gutter all the way around, and especially out here is gonna prevent
Right, because
water
part of
from-
the gutter's gone.
water, right, part of the gutter's gone, and at the other end here, there's no gutter
Right.
on a section that's over concrete, and so I expect to the two guys that came first that you didn't have the opportunity to see, because they came pretty early in the morning, but, or they came late in the evening, actually. But I had them add a section of gutter over there so that all the areas over concrete have a gutter.
Even that little small little.
And the small one out front there, the two owner operators that came the first time, I promised them I'd bring my boom truck down, because they don't wanna go to the top of the 36-foot ladder. And I don't want them up there either.
And then the other thing to go with this is that Joe had brought up a point, it's like, we're gonna need to run some heat tape down these gutters and down into the ground, and that's something that he knows what to do, and he can get with Roger, and that's something that the town can do, and try to keep these gutters open in the winter
We
time.
talked a little bit about that when we were outside there. In my opinion of the gutter and the contractor is, you know, they're gonna have to follow the roof line, so it's gonna be kind of basic what they're both doing, or all three doing. So,
Yeah.
whoever you felt more comfortable working with, or whatever, I think.
I mean, I'm not familiar with either one of these
Well-
people, so, but I think I've heard of Precision Gutters.
Yeah,
I think you should go.
What's that? Have you?
Yeah.
that
What was
was,
the other one?
that was the guy that
Cascade
you
Rain
met.
Gutter
No, that's the
Precision.
Or,
and Precision Gutters.
Precision was actually the two young men that you guys didn't see. They came at night. Cascade was the guy you saw. The two young men from Precision, they're hungry. That's why they drove all the way to Ione at 5 o'clock at night to give me a bid, or at least,
So which one said that they didn't know to do something?
Well, it's not, they just weren't
Weren't
familiar
aware.
with the term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure this
And
out,
I,
and we'll get this.
and what's also in play here is that I have two jobs that they also, each contractor also did. And so what was kind of in play there was, I was thinking,
Right?
I'd give one of them the ICC, whoever we feel is best qualified to do the ICC, and I might go ahead and give the other one my jobs, which are a little smaller. But let's talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get together
The,
soon.
the guys from Precision have already been calling me back. They would like to get the job. And I'm kind of thinking, because both of them have to, that I would try and, I don't know, it's gotta be best qualified bidder for the town, and for me, it's,
So my question is, on the Washington state tax,
yeah, that's incorrect.
that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah, I
this
gotta-
is not right, this
I
is
gotta
Spokane,
educate
this
them
is
on-
not us.
I gotta educate them on the tax rate is where they perform the work.
Exactly, we're not 91%. Okay, all right, so that's the only thing I have, so, and thank you for doing that,
I think you
Dan.
should just take it.
Yeah, I'm okay with Precision.
I'll look at it some more, and then I'll get with you before I make a final call.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Timber.
Nobody else, Cindy first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Smith.
I know I'm being quiet. No, so I started painting the sign, I almost got it done. I had two not negative remarks, but one person told me orange, and it's not orange, it's like a burnt red, that color is offensive. So I didn't know quite how to. I didn't know how to handle that one. I just said, oh, maybe the white will make it better. I didn't know. And then the other person, all they said is, wow, that's bright. But everybody else, when I walked into the Legion the other night, a lot of people that know me, they're like, tell me, you were the one out there painting that sign, weren't you? And I said, well, yeah. I said, we don't get the grant money for people to hire a high school kid this year. I said, so I don't mind painting. It's for the community and make it look better. So I'm almost done with that. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet or what your thoughts are.
I haven't seen it.
I can't see it from the road, Cindy, because all the trees are leafed out, so.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll tell you
I'm
what,
sure it looks great.
those branches, man, they ate me alive. Cause they're hawthorn or something.
Barberry.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And what else? So when I get back down on Sunday, I did get a lot of compliments on the rock too. A lot of people didn't know that our park got tore up.
Well, I noticed the rock seems to be doing its job because the grass is recovering over there around the pavilion. And I look forward to getting with you when you're a little less busy and I'm not quite, I can get that excavator. I want to do it before Downriver Day, so let's make it a date.
Okay. I'll be back Sunday evening, so I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else, Cindy?
No. But you got to tell me if you like the color of the sign, because I'm thinking about that wooden picnic table needs to be painted, and I have enough paint to match the color.
I'd go for it, Cindy. I'd go for it. Yeah.
You do know that nobody likes everything we do.
Gives them something to talk about.
I am painting that cement pole though after you pull out where Donnie's thing is. If you're not paying attention, there's a cement pole there that's like very little red left on it, but it's easy. I think you could smack that pretty easy.
It needs
I'm
to
going
be
to paint
painted
it red.
It needs to be painted what color?
Yeah, I'm going to paint it red. See if that'll get their attention. Or I don't know, one of those bicycle things that's got the little orange flag on it to add to it.
Yeah. And while you've got the floor, can we ask Roger and Tom to do a kind of a safety check of the park before Downriver Days?
Definitely.
Just general walk around, outlet boxes, stuff like that. And I know that the glider chair swing is missing an aluminum plank on it. And I've almost got a nice piece of wood that we could replace it with, but we can see what you think. But I think we should do that inspection and
yeah, I do too.
Send me a note just so we can say we've got it done before Downriver Days. They did the same thing before ball season up at the ball field, so.
Okay.
I think it's a good practice.
I think so too.
Okay. Anything else, Cindy?
Nope, that's it.
Mike, welcome. I'm not gonna put you on the spot and ask for a full report.
Come on, give a report.
No new news. And I've had a little bit of discussion with Cindy, and these commissioners are a fluid administrative thing that we can have a discussion about whether your skills are best served as a commissioner for the airport or a commissioner with something else, or perhaps assisting one of the other commissioners. I think the idea is to provide the opportunity for you to learn as much about the council as you can and not just get stuck doing one thing. So we'll talk about that, but welcome aboard.
Yeah,
really glad to have
and
you.
I think we're as a team, you know, that's the way I look at it.
We are a team.
And, you know, we should work together to get whatever we want done. You know, whatever it takes. If you fall down or something, you need some help somewhere, you know, I fall down all the time. Sandy's helped me out quite a bit with that too. So, I mean, there's a lot, everybody's willing to help you. I think, maybe not Ken.
I was gonna say, I've been on the council a long, long time, so if you have any problems, go to somebody else.
Mr. Timrick.
I have nothing more.
Nothing more?
My part's done.
Okay, I'm probably gonna forget half of what I would normally talk about, but it's time to move on here. So a couple of things. One is, a while back I reported to you that on our airport improvement plan, we had an aegis survey, an obstruction survey that was established and approved in 2025. It was gonna cost us $2,000 of our money. And then in the spring, I was stunned to find out that the contractor said, oh, it really isn't $80,000, it's $160,000. And so our share went to $4,000. And then WashDOT Aviation went, oh, we really don't have any money for your project, so they denied our grant. So then the next step is that the town of Ione, to keep this going, was gonna have to fork over $8,000, almost $8,200. Well, I had a long talk with the FAA people in Seattle. My concern was that was a budgetary problem for the town, and the problem is that you do this aegis survey and you don't even get to see them dig dirt. I mean, it's really for the FAA to plan the future of the airport. And so it's important, but it's tough for me to make the case to the council and make the case to the public that we got any benefit out of this, especially at $8,000. But the economic development of the airport, potentially as to bring a commercial aviation operator in, even seasonally, that sort of thing, this was kind of an important piece of the puzzle. The other thing is the FAA had $23,000 sitting there for the town of Ione's airport for 2026, and we were gonna lose that. And we could ended up getting stuck with the $3,000 IFE cost that we had to do so far. So, to make a long story short, I went to the Pondere County EDAC, the Economic Development Advisory Committee, and I applied, and I know I got your assent to this at a previous meeting, but I applied for what's called a .09 Economic Development Grant from Pondere County Commissioners for the full amount, $8,148. The EDAC looked favorably on the project, and yesterday morning, the Pondere County Commissioners approved it. They've approved our grant, and so the Aegis project is still on. So thank you to Pondere County Commissioners, and to particularly Jessica Garza at the Economic Development folks at the Pondere Valley Railroad, who expedited our request because FAA said they had to have an answer if we could proceed by August 14th, or we were not going to be in the game. So thankfully, due to the work Jessica did and the EDAC meeting early, and the county commissioners looking at it as truly an economic development project, it got done. So I'm glad for that, and we'll move on with our airport plan.
Can I ask one question, Dan? Just a real quick question. They're holding off on the spec on the concrete. Do you have any details on that? Just real brief, I guess.
Yeah, really, I called our engineer last week because they've been sending progress reports into the FAA, and they aren't mentioning this pause in construction. We're not calling it a delay, it's a pause. And it has to do with, as you point out, it's the concrete spec. I probably mentioned that before, and I asked a few more questions about it. And it has to do with the amount of a particular chemical, and I'm not a chemist, and it's some chemical that is too high. And Interstate Concrete is the ones that are mixing the concrete, and apparently they historically have a problem with this concrete. Now, what it is, I don't know if it's something in the lime rock they use, I don't know if it's something with their additives, but I think the way it works is they actually have to do a test pour. It has to cure for a certain number of days, and then they do their tests on it. So not only does it have to pass the chemical analysis, it also has to pass the functional tests like slump and stuff like that. So the engineer told me it could be from when it started 3 weeks ago, it could have been a 6-week deal. So if it's a 6-week deal, we've got about 3 weeks to go.
Right.
But that's really, they've got the surface all ready to go in and build it up with a special underlayment mix, and they're not doing that until they can actually pour the concrete, because that all happens very fast, I guess. I mean, they dug a hole pretty damn fast. Right. So, anyway.
Just curious, thank you.
Yep. And then, the other big deal is the highway sign, we finalized the quote. Roger and I had to work through some electrical issues, because the sign that we were originally spec'd was a higher pixel rate, and they required like two 240 volt lines, and Roger and I had inspected the site. We didn't have 2 times 240 there. We have the standard 110. And what we figured out is if we drop down from a 10.66 to an 8 point whatever, we can go to 120 and use the existing electrical, which I felt was important. And I think, didn't I show the videos to somebody? Oh, it was Roger and who else we looked at the videos, and Sandy and McKenna, we all looked at the video in the office there, and nobody could really see any difference between the 10.6 and the 8 point whatever. So we made it easy on ourselves, since we're gonna be for the wiring. So that, we have to pay 50% of it up front. Then when it ships, we pay the other 50%. When it's installed, we turn those receipts into the county, and we get reimbursed for all of it, or at least $19,024 of it. And we actually, the price of the sign came down a little bit to $17,300, so I think we're gonna be in good shape on the budget. As I think I reported earlier, actually I didn't report earlier, on July 3rd or July 4th, Saturday morning, in addition to my 9 bags of garbage duty, I ran 2 druggie campers out of the park that morning. And I don't think there was, what's that?
My friends now.
Your friends? Yeah. They weren't my friends when I got done.
Friends?
I was, the one lady was really inebriated or high, and the other guy was so high or inebriated he was staggering around down by children and around the play toys, and so I was pretty rough on him. And the sheriff was nowhere to be found, so they got in their car and left, and I've been checking every couple of days, and they had a big mess down there that had to be cleaned up, but we'll keep after it, Cindy, to make sure your park is nice. And the garbage dumpers, I already talked about them, we're gonna keep after that. So that's my final report. I'm sure I'm missing something that I'll say, damn, I wish I told you about that yesterday. So at 8:41, we'll open it up to the second public comment period. Does anybody in the public have further comments about anything that's going on? Donnie, is the park working out for you and the dogs?
Far so good.
Okay.
I've been keeping an eye on who's been dumping and whatever, trying to anyway.
Yeah.
I noticed that we've had some people that are camping down there for a few weeks.
Are they still there?
No, that couple left.
Yeah, I think
But
those
then
are.
we got some other, coming down there I go down there every night after dark.
Yeah.
So there's nothing else down.
Okay. Well, thanks for keeping an eye on it. Any other public comments? We'll close the public comment period at 8:43, I guess. And would any of the council like an executive session?
Yes, I would like about maybe a 10-minute one, just for information only. Nothing else.
For information only, so there's only certain things that we can go into executive session for. Does this have to do with an employee?
No.
Does it have to do with a negotiation or a
Yes.
contract
Yes.
that we're negotiating?
Yes.
Okay. So the intent is that we'll go into our executive session, and then we'll come out of the executive session and immediately adjourn. And that executive session will last, as he said, 10 minutes, so we'll be coming out at minute 54. And as long as nothing changes, we'll adjourn right after that.
Might be a lot less if nobody else says anything.
So at this time, the regular meeting is recessing to executive, or not recessing, but moving to executive session with staff. And everybody else, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
And,
appreciate it.
Don't
Good seeing you
forget
again,
your
Corey.
tanker or
Corey,
tea.
you got your tea.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Do you want us to stack chairs up or anything?
we're fine, yeah, we're fine.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Brandy.
That's nice to see.
How's everything
Good
going?
job, everybody. It's a hard chair to sit in, so,
Thank you, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
you know, everybody's doing their best, right?
Right.
That's what they're asking now. Keep on fighting good.
That's what they pay the big bucks
I'm gonna go
for.
this way so we
Okay,
can
I'm
use
gonna
the
go take
restroom
that.
really quick. So I got like an hour to drive back
No.
home and I
think
have my
you can
Diet
stay.
Coke addictions.
And at least it's still light.
And can the staff stay?
Light, at least halfway.
Should the
Yeah,
staff
yeah.
stay, or can
I don't
Yeah,
care.
thanks, you guys.
you
Have a
guys
good night.
wanna
Bye-bye.
cut loose and start putting your stuff away? Would
We
you
would
rather do
love
that?
that.
Okay, why don't you do that then?
And then the meeting's going to adjourn
And
at,
to those people on the phone, Cindy, are you still there?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing that I wanna do is just bring up, if we need to.
Hang on just a second.
okay.
Then.
There will be no action taken from this.
Did you hear that, Sonia?